What's up, E7 fam? Pat here, back with another video. So, Ancient Inheritance. Let's talk about it. If you recall from my 2021 review video, I talked about how Ancient Inheritance was one of the things I was most excited for coming into 2022. It appeared to promise a co-op experience similar to what I was expecting when I first picked up Epic 7 back in 2018. Yes, it's been that long. Labyrinths were nice and all, but what I really wanted out of Epic 7 more than anything for their endgame was the ability to bring all of my handcrafted characters into an experience where I had to work together with my friends to take down bosses and get some sweet loot and things like that on the side. So, is Ancient Inheritance that? It sort of is. It's basically like an experience, for those of you who have not played it, where I'm working together with guildmates to take down bosses to get sweet loot, but without those handcrafted characters. I pretty much am stuck with these predetermined characters with slight tweaks depending on things like my gear set, my artifact choice, or any exclusive equipment that I'm wearing on them. And honestly, I think that is fine, largely because it's still, at the end of the day, an actual co-op game mode where I feel like I'm actually working with my guild and my friends on a daily basis. And that is a really awesome feeling. If you have not played Ancient Inheritance, I cannot describe to you how awesome the game mode feels. Playing it is just so damn fun. Running around on the map, finding all the various different treasure chests and upgrades in the beginning felt really, really great. It made it feel kind of like Automaton Tower, where I would get specific buffs that my other guildmates didn't have, and it kind of influenced how I should play and how I saw myself or perceived myself, my role in a particular group. At least, again, early, because by the end of Ancient Inheritance, it felt like all of that kind of got thrown out the window. One of the things I would definitely improve would be to change the relics or buffs that you get to be more potent and make you feel more specialized the entire way through, kind of like, again, Automaton Tower. The other knock that I have on this thing is the provisions. They really take a lot of fun out of the game mode. When you're first introduced to Ancient Inheritance, they give you something like 150 provisions to do whatever you want. That's basically the currency to move around and interact on the map, do different things. It's basically your stamina to play the game mode. Thinking after we spent all 150 the first day that we were going to get another one, another 150, so to speak, we basically all took our time to go way out of our way on floor 1 and explore the various different corners of the map and try and find literally everything that we could, basically leave no stone unturned. When we logged in the next day and found out we only had like 60 or something of these things, it made us all kind of realize we wasted a ton of time on the first day, and it put us really, really far behind. And that first day, the assumption that we had another 150 and we are going to get 150 every day, that's what eventually led to us not finishing the 4th floor in time. And there's no way that we could have possibly have known that on the first day with the limited resources available, unless there's just something like I didn't read or it was somehow in the patch notes and I missed it. Yeah, like again, it felt like there was no way we could have possibly known that. And this was pretty disheartening for some of the members of my guild. The game mode basically begs you to play it and explore it because it's actually really fun, but the total time you and your friends actually have with it is something like 5 to 10 minutes during the day tops because of how few provisions you have. And again, you feel rushed because you don't get enough of them to actually explore the whole map. So, aside from provisions, the game mode being 2 weeks also feels like a major misstep for several reasons. We already talked about how the game mode is short each day, so only having it available for half the month makes it feel even worse. Since we've, again, wasted so much time on the first floor and it being limited to a 2-week period, plus we are not really a super big guild. We're like a mid-sized guild that's pretty disorganized, honestly. It just drains a lot of fun out of the game mode. You can't really explore. You kind of just have to make a beeline for the warden or the boss on the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th floors and hope to just zerg it down. So you have to ask yourself, if that's basically how it is and I'm not going to be able to explore, like, why don't they just make the thing the entire month? it feels like that extra time could really be appreciated by a lot of smaller or less coordinated guilds like my own. If you're in a top tier guild or you're in a much larger guild and you got through all 4 stages, congratulations, you got your sweet loot. Let the rest of us enjoy the game mode, again, especially those smaller guilds, because we probably could really use a lot of those sweet level 88 pieces for some of our newer or lesser experienced members. I or the rest of my guild shouldn't feel this punished for being in a smaller group of friends or trying to enjoy what is arguably the best game mode Epic 7 has had in these past few years. So before I wrap up the video, I want to touch on a couple of other things that I liked or disliked about the game mode. I really appreciate that this game mode rewards you for playing characters that don't seem good in other game modes. For me personally, Blue Lulika and Cirilla were all stars. They provided my team a ton of damage and debuffs, and I don't really ever get to play them anymore in any other game mode. Heroes like Fallen Cecilia or Spectre Tenebria that I have come to expect to be top tier in most game modes felt largely irrelevant in my entire playthrough, and that's welcome because I use them for everything. Let there be one game mode where they're not super great. When my time with Ancient Inheritance was almost done, I found myself playing with a lot of heroes that I normally don't use anywhere else in the game, and that made it feel really unique, and I appreciate that. The later half of Ancient Inheritance, at least in my opinion, I think really does need a balance adjustment. I think they do need to look at it a little bit further. I spent the first half of my first playthrough of my guild trying to be like the balanced team member who had a good mix of knights, soul weavers, and 2 DPS classes, in this case warriors and mages leveled. So I could kind of use a traditional tank and heal approach and use that to go through most encounters like I do with a standard JRPG or a lot of other game modes when I first am trying to clear it in this game. And honestly, this is actually a huge mistake. It feels like the most optimal way to play the game seems to be just dump all of your points into 1 or 2 DPS classes and just nuke the ever-loving crap out of things. Seriously, it just feels way more effective to have like a level 10 plus mage with like level 2 or level 3 knights than having a balanced party of say like level 7 knights and level 7 mages. All of the emphasis on denying passives and also making it so that healing isn't really effective after like say like 10 to 20 turns makes the later half of the experience just spamming a bunch of high damage heroes with defense break, because really honestly nothing else matters and nothing else compares to it. I had guildmates who had like level 10 to like level 12 mages and like level 12 thieves. Didn't even bother with knights, and they just felt so much more effective than me, who tried to, carefully curate and craft a team. And I really just don't think that that is the way the game should be played. I feel like just dumping all of your points into one stat shouldn't reward you. That's usually like not how games work. You don't like, if you just put like everything into attack and nothing into speed, I shouldn't just get like just straight up rewarded for not trying to cover my weaknesses as a composition. But in this game mode, it feels like you just get rewarded for that. So that's just something I felt like I had to throw out there. Also, despite all of my negativity on certain aspects of this game mode, the rewards for it are actually amazing. I can't decide if this game mode or Expeditions is the best game mode we've ever gotten up to this point as far as rewards go. Expeditions have given us the 2 best resources in the game, in my opinion, which are Mullagoras and Modification Chests, which is why I think so highly of that game mode. Ancient Inheritance, though, it not only gives you some fairly good 88 gear to players who might be needing it, but it also gives players tons of regular catalysts, epic catalysts, equipment reforged materials, and also artifact charms. And that last one is really big when you think about it. Artifact charms are incredibly hard to come by, with most players on average only getting 1 epic artifact charm a week from regular raid, as well as a few regulars and 1 greater artifact charm if you're willing to spend silver transmit stones. Other than that, you're basically relying on Hoochie. Aside from all that, only other real way to do it is to spend Powder of Knowledge to get artifact charms, which unless you're a whale, you're not going to be able to do that. You need to save your powders for things like Bottles of Knowledge, so that way when you finally get a limited artifact, you can get to plus 30, because again, you're not a whale. Most likely, if you're watching this video, you probably aren't going to just whale to get every limited artifact to plus 30. So you're going to be conserving powder. You're not just blowing powder on artifact charms. And as a result, if you're like me, you probably just have a ton of artifacts that are just not leveled. You could take them to plus 30, but you just don't have the resources to do it. Leveling artifacts has always felt like a struggle in this game. And by the time I finished my first playthrough with Ancient Inheritance, I walked away with something like nearly 70 artifact charms. And that's actually insane when you think about it. I now have so many resources to level a ton of unfinished artifacts in my box, and I don't have to spend Powder of Knowledge to do it. I don't have to spend money, and that is really, really good in my opinion. So overall, yeah, I would say I'm pretty happy with this game. Does it need some fixes, some tweaks? Absolutely. And I'm sure Smilegate will obviously make the adjustments because they have with every other game mode. They did it with Expeditions and things like that. They've made, I believe, AdMed a little bit easier as well from the first one. So yeah, I have confidence. So now to close out the video, I want to hear from you. And I want to know, how did you guys like Ancient Inheritance? How far did you guys get in it? If you're a smaller guild or you're a less coordinated guild like mine, let me know. Were you in a bigger one that was a bit more coordinated? Was you had the manpower to burst down bosses? What heroes and strategies work well for you? I went into this entirely blind. I didn't really look up what other people were doing. And I honestly feel like I just have a whole heck of a lot to learn. So again, I really want to hear from all of you down in the comments below. As always, enjoy the rest of your day, the rest of your week, and I will catch you all in the next one. Later now.